In this video, we're discussing green coffee purchasing from our partner producer El Socorro in Guatemala. Welcome, my name is Patrick Rolfe and this is Coffee with April. For this video, we're going to step away a little bit from coffee brewing and talk about something that is a lot more important, green coffee. So we're at a time during the year where we're trying a lot of fresh crop coffee. So basically coffee that is harvested from November, December and onwards, and then processed and then kind of ready to ship here, right? And we're gonna do a few more of these kind of videos that are looking more at the green coffee side of things, because regardless of how much time we spend on brewing or roasting, if the green coffee is not good, the coffee won't taste good. There's no such thing as taking a bad green coffee and turning that into something good just by roasting and brewing. In the end of the day, the cup quality is dictated by how good that varietal tastes at the farm it's been grown and how well that has been processed, right? So that's absolutely important. And the example we want to do today is from our partner farm El Socorro and farmer Diego in Guatemala, a producer that we worked with last season and is now really happy to kind of bring back this season as well. So we just kind of want to share how that process works to give you a little bit of insight in how we work with one of our producers, right? So one of the things we've done here today is that we kept the 6 different lots that we have already purchased. So what we do is that we come to each producer we work with directly and communicate the volumes we're looking for, the varietals we're looking for, and the processing methods we're looking for before they start their harvest. That way they can plan properly and they know what we kind of expect to purchase. Obviously, that is always going to be based on what we call Preship Samples, right? So samples that comes directly from the process station in various shapes and forms, depending on where you're purchasing. But giving the farmer the information before gives them an opportunity to schedule and prepare their processing, their picking in a way that makes a lot more sense. So in Diego's case, the majority of his picking starts in January and goes basically all the way to April. So they're harvesting in a slightly different schedule than the rest of Central America. But let's say 90-95% of the coffees that comes from this season have all started to be picked somewhere around November, sometimes even October. That's true, for example, Ethiopia and Kenya, where most of the picking is done in November and December, which in this case is interesting with El Socorro, and part of why we're purchasing from him is because of the later harvesting cycle, which allows us to have slightly fresher coffees later in the season, which is really interesting in terms of just scheduling and making sure all of those coffees taste as fresh and optimal as possible, right? So what we have in front of us here is a few different lots. We have decided to kind of continue working with this Pacamara varietal, his geisha varietal, two of the kind of better varietals coming out of his farm. There's 1 or 2 varietals from last seasons that we decided not to work with this season. We still have kept them, we're still keeping track of them. And it's not by any means that we're never going to purchase them again. We just kind of monitor the progress of that individual varietal. Then we also decided to lift in a new varietal, which we haven't worked with before, which is the yellow Bourbon. And we have 2 different expressions on that, basically a washed and a natural. And long term, that's a varietal that we are looking to kind of put into or phase into our SP project, where we buy kind of larger lots from the producers to create more value, make sure there's less risk in having us as a buyer, and to be able to share many different expressions from the same producer, right? So that's kind of a long-term project. Our SP always starts the 3rd season we work together, so it's not something we run into. We want to make sure that we know we're going to purchase from this producer for a very long time, and we want to make sure that the quality of that coffee actually comes out the way that we're looking for. Now, in terms of processing here, it's a little bit interesting. We're trying a range from basically washed red honey to natural processed coffee. Diego is an interesting producer because he doesn't do much naturals, or he only does naturals on requests, which we kind of appreciate because we will still tend to prefer clean cups, right? And still a lot of natural processed coffees do not fit into that category. However, we have decided to bring in, for example, a natural processed Pacamara lot to kind of see what that brings to the coffee, see what expression we can get out of that same varietal, right? We still think that's something that is very interesting. Now, when it comes to kind of pricing and logistics, it's relatively simple. We discuss all of the prices, all of the lot quantities that we're purchasing directly with Diego, and we lock that in. Then on top of that, we have an external logistical partner that is going to basically make sure that coffee comes to Europe. They're going to warehouse that coffee, and then they're going to ship it to us as we kind of need it throughout the year, right? So with that comes a cost that we pay 100%. That isn't in any way dependent on Diego. So Diego gets the exact same amount of money that we have discussed and that he has been asking for. And then on top of that, we pay an extra cost for that logistical fee, right? So that's pretty much how that process works. And we're really happy to kind of announce that the coffees are tasting great. Several of the varietals, especially the geisha, is even better than last season, which we're really happy with. And now we have decided to basically work with Socorro as a continuous partner, which means now it's time for us to schedule the visits to the producer. I personally actually met Diego at his farm previously before my time at April. So I'm kind of really excited to bring his coffees back into this process, right? So basically it was just to give you a little bit of insight in what we're up to now. And we're using the same process and the same kind of method with a lot of our different producers. So at the moment, that's basically Preship Samples, cow roasted for samples, and then cupping continuously to make sure that the coffee is tasting that we want, and then having that dialogue directly with the producer all the way, right? And with this, we're going to start to basically schedule some trips and do continuous evaluation also as the lot arrives, right? Now, kind of a side note is that all green coffees, not just Diego's coffees, we think actually benefits a lot from resting a little bit, right? So these coffees are basically available to us very, very soon, but we're going to let them rest over the summer and start working with them from August, September. Similar style to what we do, for example, with our Ethiopian or Kenyan coffees, where it just doesn't taste very good if you roast them now. They're too fresh. They need to stabilize a little bit more, and that moisture content needs to drop out a little bit, right? So we often let those coffees rest a little bit and bring in the coffees that are harvested from November to January, or in this case, January to March, later in the season after the summer. So we're super happy to share them with you, that when they're going to come, they're all vacuum packed, something we believe in a lot. They're vacuum packed in the batch size that we're roasting to make it easier for the production team, but also to make sure that we have 100% freshness of that green coffee throughout the year, right? So a little bit of insight in how we're purchasing coffee at the moment and how we work together with Diego at the El Socorro farm. If you have any questions on green coffee, please let us know. Please comment below. It's a very important conversation to have, and it's something that a format like YouTube is not really supporting because all of you want brewing videos, right? But we're going to basically ignore that, and we're going to keep on pushing some green coffee videos because in the end, that is the very foundation of what we do. That is the most important part of what we do. Without the producers, we're not going to have any tasty coffee to brew, right? So with that, we want to thank you guys for watching and wish you a great day. We want to give a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we are able to continue to make these videos. And we want you all to feel free to always come with suggestions and ideas on the content that you want to see because we are doing this for you and because of you. Thank you from all of us here at April.